Chapter 9 of The Yellow Sheet. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Yellow Sheet, the LibriVox NaNoWriMo Project 2007. Chapter 9. Written and recorded by Smokey B. M1020.B7706. Thanks to his brief assistantship at the library, Corey knew this was a call number for a book on music, more specifically on orchestral music, orchestra. The word struck a chord within him. For some time now, Corey had had a sense that things in his life were being orchestrated by others. It seemed that, while he had once had purpose and initiative, now certain forces pushed and controlled him in ways he did not fully comprehend, like Differ pressuring him to take that job in the bank, or these yellow sheets that followed him everywhere, and, of course, Liz. He'd had little to do with that, tongue-tied and fumbling as he was with her. She'd seized command from the get-go, and it was she who had organized his sock drawer and taught him to memorize long strings of numbers, drilling him daily with differing digits till he left the bank rattling off streams of account numbers and personal data into a pocket-sized digital recorder, all of which Liz transcribed into a notebook, never telling him why. Corey decided to follow the yellow sheet's code. Arriving on the third floor, he moved quickly toward the M's in the southwest corner of the building. His fingers trailed along the spines as he moved past the shelves toward the window. M990, M1000, M1010, M1020. He stood close by the window now, overlooking the sundial plaza as he laid his hand at last upon the book he sought. Through the window he saw the little-known balcony attached to the physics lab, from which he had watched Liz and John eat lunch outside the library every day last summer. Inevitably his eyes went toward it. There was someone on it now, someone hard to see in dark clothes, someone pointing something. As the shot rang out across the campus, Professor Differ, heading due north from the sundial, strolled calmly on without reaction, his thin lips curving in a satisfied smile. Meanwhile, in a gleaming 18-wheeler southbound on I-95, Liz toyed with the charm at her throat as the afternoon sun gleamed upon it. It was warm again. Differ had sworn it was not radioactive or dangerous. Inside it, he claimed, was a small device developed by MI5 to pick radioactivated locks by transmitting myriad frequencies in virtually every conceivable sequence. So, Liz had dryly opined, it's like a garage door opener. Differ had not been amused. The device had had to be smuggled out of England via eBay, and with Differ's help his contact had designed the casing to appeal especially to Corey, whom Differ knew was obsessed with druids. Liz had been happy enough to steal the amulet from Corey, whom she had never truly cared for, but when the time came to hand it over to Differ, she wasn't so sure. At first it had been fun to run around with a distinguished older man, especially one so brilliant and mysterious, who lived by his own rules. But gradually his talk of alternate dimensions had gotten out of hand. The idea itself was fine, even admirable and intriguing, but of late Differ had begun to rant, literally to froth, about how they all thought he was insane, and no one read his books, and that they sent him maddening scrawls on yellow sheets to warp his brain, but he would show them that alternate dimensions were real. He would just need power. A lot of power. He even claimed to be part of a secret society founded by Isaac Newton to use science and reason to perfect human society by any means necessary. Finally, Liz had found charts and maps whereon he sought to pinpoint old U.S. missile silos in Montana. That's when she hit the road. Much of what she'd embezzled from Corey's bank had gone to Difer's research, but a good deal still remained. Between that and the occasional porno film and recompensed liaison with Japanese businessmen, she had a tidy sum stashed deep in her bag, all in cash. It was risky but untraceable. Never prone to superstition, Liz nevertheless felt it a good omen to have met Derek at the start of her journey. Corey had wrecked her sports car weeks ago, swerving round a squirrel on his way back from the comic book store. When she finally took flight, Liz borrowed a page from her high school days and caught a cab to the truck stop. She'd not expected much, nor did she need it. Prepared for a portly perv with reddened eyes and itchy palms, she'd found a godsend of a man with a grand physique and a kind demeanor. There he stood beside his spotless black Kenworth, trim and toned in brown slacks and vest, his NYS cap pushed back on his head at a generous angle. It was not hard to get a ride. Liz didn't care to where, but as it turned out, no less a place than Miami, Florida, was Derek's destination. Some time on the sands, Liz thought, would do her no end of good. Now, lulled almost to sleep by the hum of the wheels and the thrum of the engine, and the soft, mellow music on the cab's impressive speakers, Liz was glad for the 15 hours they would need to reach their destination. There was a dependable strength in Derek which she could not fully explain, and she was glad to be beside him. She yawned and stretched. "You're welcome to lay down in the back if you want to," Derek told her, hitching his thumb towards the curtains behind him, through which lay a small compartment called a sleeper, with just enough space for two well-acquainted people to be comfortably cozy. Liz stretched again, arching her back. "What's this music?" she asked. "A guy named NaNoWriMo. Least, I think that's how you say it. He's from Tunisia." "Where is that?" "North Africa." "It's pretty." "I love it," Derek replied with a pause. "I got into Arabic music when I was in the army. I did a lot of things I can't talk about, and I would get mad about a lot of stuff over there." He trailed off, shaking his head at the memories. Liz put her hand on his knee and smiled at him. Derek blushed. "You want some food?" he asked. "Or something to drink? There's a fridge back there and some chips and stuff." Liz undid her seatbelt. "I could go for some chips," she said as she parted the curtains. "There's a gun back there," Derek said suddenly. Liz froze. "I don't mean to scare you, just want you to be safe. It's under the pillows, so be careful. Even inside a rig, it ain't the safest thing in the world sleeping by the roadside. Truckers get killed all the time." "I understand," said Liz. "I'll be careful." Lifting her knees, she crawled into the sleeper compartment behind them. It looked like a room in those beehive hotels she'd so often known in Tokyo. Just enough room to lay down, with a tiny fridge and a shelf or two. The pillows lay behind the driver's side. She'd not been alarmed by Derek's comment. Being Southern-born and bred, Liz had fired countless rounds through sundry guns for years before she ever kissed a boy. Gripping its center, she lifted one pillow. Underneath it lay a Heckler & Koch USP 45 Auto. Liz exhaled contentedly. It was a beautiful pistol. She had no doubt Derek could ably use it, and she herself was far from helpless. She replaced the pillow, spun on one knee, and scanned the shelves, finding the chips. They were baked, not fried. Liz half climbed, half rolled back into her seat, not bothering with the belt. "H&K USP, huh?" Liz asked. "Don't Navy SEALs carry those?" Derek seemed startled and impressed. "Among others," he said with a slight sly grin. "You know, on paper, I never even left America. Officially, my entire military career played out in Hot Springs, Arkansas." His laughter filled the cab, and Liz was much delighted. Here was a man she could trust and respect, not some milksop dungeon master, or dirty old man with issues to prove, but a real, live man, with muscle and brains, integrity and honor, sympathy and self-respect, not to mention a Kenworth and a kick-ass pistol. What was he hauling, by the way? She made a mental note to ask. Right now, though, she seized upon his warming ease, and drew him closely to her, not physically, that is, but as she saw her man relax, she coaxed him further from himself, wanting to know him and to hear his thoughts. He, in turn, drew much from her and thrilled her with his mind. He seemed to have read more books than she could name. In fact, he was a LibriVox junkie who'd crammed his iPod full, thrilled to pass his driving time with such sublime companions. And he truly listened when she spoke, not like Corey, who was always on about his silly stories, or Difer, who spoke of little else beside his theories and his persecution mania. Finally, just outside of Jacksonville, Florida, they rested for the evening in the sleeper, laying close together but not entwined. Derek waxed upon the clear night skies and the desert, and Liz seized this thread of cosmological concepts, hoping to clarify and reinforce her own understanding. Speaking first of black holes, quasars, and quarks, she asked, "Have you ever heard of multiple dimensions and alternate realities?" "You mean the idea that there are infinite possible worlds and that all events in time and space converge in something called a singularity?" "Mm-hmm." She nodded eagerly, nudging closer to him. With a fiendish grin, he snaked an arm around her waist and drew her sharply toward him. "I've got a singularity," he declared. "In my pants." End of chapter 9.